that covers all 5 of our clubs. My job involves fundraising, marketing, corporate sponsorships, community outreach, and special events. So I like to say I get to do all the fun stuff. Plus, I also have the opportunity to come into the clubs and do activities with the kiddos, go on field trips and things like that, which is my favorite part. But what I'm here to talk about today is Lemonade Day, which is an entrepreneurship that we have. So in addition to raising funds and awareness for the club, it also is an event where the kids learn about becoming an entrepreneur and the importance of marketing, financial literacy, customer service, joint ventures, and more. So it's one of my favorite events at the club, and it's definitely the kids' favorites as well.
Thank you so much, Angela. We'll be digging a little bit further into that event as well as the organization and its mission as well. Diana, if you'd like to go ahead and give us your quick 60 seconds about who you are and what Mainstream Boutique is.
I will. So I'm Diana Fergola. I'm the owner of the Mainstream Boutique here in Menomonie, Wisconsin. We are part of a franchise, so that kind of confuses people. Maybe you've been traveling somewhere and you've seen another Mainstream Boutique. We are all part of a large franchise based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. I've been part of the organization for almost 7 years. Been open for about 6.5, but there's a lot of behind the scenes to get a store up and running. And it has just been an absolute joy and a journey. I grew up in Spring Valley, Wisconsin. We did a lot of shopping here at Lammer's grocery store and all the different businesses that used to be here in the plaza years ago, back in the 1970s and 80s. So it's really, really fun to be back to this community after having traveled a lot of places and worked in a lot of retail over the last few years. So ladies clothing and accessories, nothing for the guys, my apologies, but lots of beautiful clothing and accessories for the lovely ladies here. And it is an absolute joy to be a part of the chamber. I'm also one of the chamber ambassadors. I'm proud to be the chair of a wonderful team of ambassadors over the next couple of years. And that has been a really amazing part of our journey as well here in our community, and has definitely helped me to promote my business as well. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Diana. So now we'll move to Stephanie with Scatterbrain.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Thompson. I'm owner and operator of Scatterbrain Cafe and Scatterbrain Coffee. Down here in Downsville, 6 miles south of Menomonie, just a nice short drive. You can come and visit us. We have all scratch, local ingredients. We do full breakfast and lunch. We also have a scratch bakery. And we have retail coffee for sale as well, and our full barista bar, so you can come on down and get your favorite caffeinated beverage. We just recently started serving adult beverages as well. So mimosas and Bloody Marys, great for your Sunday brunch. Come on down. We have been here for 6 years and hope to be here for many more. It's so great to be so connected to our community and get to know all the people that come into our cafe. It's just great creating those relationships, but yeah, that's just us. You can see us every day of the week, 7 or 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. So yeah, come on down.
Thank you, Stephanie. And now moving to John Grape with WESTconsin Credit Union.
Well, good afternoon. I'm John Grape, and I am a business loan officer here in our Menomonie East office. WESTconsin Credit Union, of course, is a non-profit financial cooperative. We serve 26 counties here in western Wisconsin and east central Minnesota. We're about 80 plus years old. We have 15 locations and we have over 110,000 members currently. So with most cooperatives, we are run by a board of directors, and 7 of our members do fill those positions. So credit unions, of course, are important because we look out for our neighbors and our communities, and we really are here just to serve our communities. Again, we're nonprofit, and we provide a lot of things, not just the obvious loans, credit, deposit services, but things like financial counseling, for example. On the consumer side, you can go to any one of our offices and one of our member services can help you go through your finances or understand your finances. We have youth classes and programs that we do in the community, many of them in the school. Our Green Path program, where we connect with another nonprofit to help people really dig down into their own personal finances and be able to avoid things like foreclosure and so forth on those really extreme circumstances. So on the business side, we have a pretty experienced staff. across our territory. And for myself, for example, I had numerous positions, underwriting, loan officer, and consultant. But I think one of the most important ones, I used to help my wife run a business on downtown Menomonie here for a couple of years. So I think that's important that your loan officer understands what it's like to be a small business. So I'll let you take it back, Ashley.
Thanks, John. And we'll hear more about the Wisconsin Credit Union services as well. For those of you who are joining us a little bit later, I would ask that you please go ahead and hit your mute button if you are not one of our stellar presenters today. Although you are all great. And then the video, if you would like to stop your video, we absolutely welcome you to do so to help minimize distractions. And my personal recommendation is to change that view to your speaker so you can go ahead and have whoever's speaking on your large view. So we'll go ahead and get kind of started with questions. I have some canned questions that I like to ask folks to go ahead and get the conversation started. Again, to our presenters, please make sure that you're also offering feedback or camaraderie if it's something that you feel that you really relate to, or if you've had an opposite experience, feel free to share those. I would ask our attendees, we will have a quick Q&A session at the end of the program today, but as you think of questions, don't hesitate to drop those in the chat box. For presenters, if you see a question that you'd like to address right away, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, we'll pull those apart at the end. But just kind of starting out, and we'll kick it off with, where did the idea come from for your business, or Angela for the program? Obviously, John, this is a little bit more self-sufficient for you. But for those of us who are entrepreneurs or running a program, how did it start? Where did the idea come from?
I can start with that about Lemonade Day. We actually had a big supporter of the club in Eau Claire, who was actually on an airplane at one point and saw an article in regards to Lemonade Day and thought it would be a great idea to bring that back to the clubs and get that introduced. So after his idea was brought to the clubs, this is our 13th year of working on this. So we kind of took the natural Lemonade Day stand and we made it our own. We start the program off by reading a book called Lemonade Day Wars. And then we talk to the kids about them creating a business plan. They do the marketing, they do the cost analysis of everything that goes into running a stand. And then we have US Bank, which was one of our presenting sponsors for the event. They actually come in and talk to the kids about financial literacy in our Money Matters program, which is really kind of cool because they don't even realize what they're exactly learning within this program. They just think of it as a super exciting event, right? They're making posters, they're going out there, they're selling the lemonade, they're jumping, singing, dancing around, just getting really excited about it. But it's really great that we are able to offer a program like that for them, that's really teaching them things that they're just having fun learning without even really realizing what they're learning and what they're doing with it.
Stephanie, how about you with Scatterbrain?
Yeah, so how we started our place, I guess, is a long story, but we went with the original name 6 years ago, Knapp's Stout and Company Coffee House, and we just found that it wasn't working for us. No one knew us by the same, and we weren't seeing that, original brand kind of feel. We wanted to create something that was original to us. We liked the history of the building, but we needed something different. And so when my husband and I started our coffee, we needed to come up with, but he woke one morning and he, Scatterbrain, it's me, I'm a Scatterbrain Coffee. And so I'm like, we should have the cafe match the coffee so we can just be one, united front as far as that goes. And we haven't turned back. And now we have been able to really, put our brand out there. We're original, like you can't match this. So that's us.
Thanks, Stephanie. How about you, Diana?
For me, actually, it was a midlife crisis. I already had the convertible, so I didn't need that. And for those of you who know me, I've tried to get out of retail for about the last 45 years, and I keep getting sucked in. My mom had an at-home little floral shop when we moved from Minnesota to Wisconsin here when I was 10, and I started helping her in that shop at a very young age. And turning 55 this year, so that's 45 years of retail under my blood. And as much as I've tried to get away, I just keep getting sucked in. In college, it was my way to work my way through school, working in a little boutique. And I discovered I needed a second part-time job because I needed to pay for that first one because it was costing me so much because I was buying too many clothes and shoes. So long story short, I was actually going to be buying a bed and breakfast up in Hayward, Wisconsin, where my mom's from, after going through my divorce and moving back here to the Midwest. And I was thinking about it, praying about it. I was on a vacation with my mom to Nova Scotia. And my mom said to me one day, do you really want to make breakfast and make people's beds for the rest of your life? And I love breakfast. It's one of my favorites. And Scatterbrain is one of my favorite places. And I just sent some ladies there this morning. But at the same token, I didn't really want to make everybody's bed for the rest of my life and cook them breakfast at a certain time. So I started researching what else I could do. And I was researching different franchises, didn't have the money for a Chipotle and some of the others. And I came across the world of cookies. Once you start going ahead and researching things, I came across on that very trip, playing on my iPad, that Mainstream Boutique was a franchise you could buy into without it being a large amount to make the purchase. And I had no idea that it was a franchise. I shopped at 5 different locations and I didn't even know that it was a franchise. So I reached out right away, sent an email asking more information, and from there I got sucked in. So I had signed my contract within about a month and quit my job full-time in fine jewelry. I was in fine jewelry and managing jewelry stores throughout the country over the last 14 years, and quit that in order to make this transition almost 7 years ago. And it's been no looking back. I absolutely love it. It's probably the least amount of money I personally ever take home that I have in my entire lifetime. But at the end of the day, it's so much more rewarding, and God continues to bless us in a variety of ways. And I've learned that I can live off of less. I go home with pretty clothes and shoes all the time, but you know, the rest of my finances are just taken care of, and it's not necessarily that I'm putting a ton of money in the bank, but I'm having a marvelous time doing it. So once again, it started as a midlife crisis.
I'm on mute. It's so interesting how you all have different startup stories and how it's come to you in different points of your life, or it's just a harebrained idea on an airplane. John, can you talk with us a little bit about when businesses or startups are coming to WESTconsin Credit Union for business lending services? What are some of the requirements that they need in order for to get started with a business loan?
Well, first of all, what we just talked about, some kind of idea, some kind of plan. I think planning is really important. Everybody knows that. And to actually put some thought into how the business is going to be run, not just on a financial basis, but also how you're going to get employees and so forth. I think one of the best things when people sit in front of me to decide whether they're going to, you know, it's something I can help with a loan, is what kind of planning have you done? And I think a lot of entrepreneurs out there might miss some of the really good resources out there. And I'll just throw out one, like the Small Business Administration. For example, Luke Kempton over in the UW Eau Claire has a fabulous free service there through the Wisconsin Small Business Development Center that I, sent numerous people that weren't quite ready yet for a loan. They had an idea, had some finances, but they didn't know how much they needed for financing and so forth. So he's able to take what they want to do, punch it into some Excel spreadsheets and really help them put together a full business plan. So when people come to me with that, that's always very comforting. I think the other thing with planning is it's essential, but people get confused that, well, my plan isn't going to what I thought it was going to be. Well, it never does. And that's not really the purpose of a plan. It's to understand what you have for resources, understand what you want to do with your marketing, and also understand how the world changes and how you might react to that, and have that experience before it really happens. Because I would imagine all our business owners can tell you if something needs attention or goes wrong, it's not when you have lots of time. It's when that employee is sick or that order came in, I have to get it on the rack or whatever it is. So I think that's really important.
That's all great information, John. And I know Angela, Boys and Girls Club for Lemonade Day, they're no strangers to having a plan. And those young entrepreneurs, can you talk with us a little bit about the planning process that they have in order to execute that event?
Yeah, so like I had mentioned previously, we start out with the book that we read, and then it's 2 weeks of programming leading up to the event where we're really talking to them about exactly what needs to be done. And, like I said, from the marketing, they're making the signs, they're coming up with a plan of how they're going to sell lemonade. They're talking about different ways that they can attract people to the stands and come there. And it's something that they get so excited and so passionate about that, we get them excited for it. And I was just talking to a couple kids today at the club, and they were like, we can't wait for Lemonade Day. And, it's coming up August 4th, and it's just one of those events where they get really excited about it. And, like I had mentioned previously, some of them are not even realizing that they're actually learning the entrepreneurship skills that they're working on. But it's just, it's a great event for all the kids, and they just love doing it.
And of course, as John said, there are times when things don't go as planned, right? You put a plan in place and something changes. So as Stephanie and Diana, from an entrepreneur aspect of starting your own business or signing on with a franchise and owning your own business in that aspect, what's something that didn't go as planned for you and came as a surprise starting up a new business?
I'll go ahead and start. I wouldn't say it was necessarily in the startup portion of it. It was called COVID. 2 years ago, that was the thing for me that was just so unplanned and unpredicted. And they always say, that first 5 years of a new business, you kind of struggle. You're not going to make a lot of money. You keep pouring it back in and what have you. And for those of you who've been in my store, you see I have a lot of beautiful items. I'm a bit of a shopaholic. So I continue to buy and buy and buy, probably a lot more than what my franchise wants me to, according to our franchise model. I think one of the things for me, because I did have so much experience under my belt, one of the jewelry stores I worked for was Helzberg Diamonds, and I actually worked for Warren Buffett. Warren purchased the jewelry store from Mr. Helzberg in the process of the time that I was with them in my 10 years there. And it was a really amazing experience to have the opportunity to meet him and learn a little bit of his business practices and put that into perspective. And for me, like I said, it was COVID. It was the unexpected of having a store where I'm now just really starting to thrive. Things are going really, really great. And just like that, something out of our control, the rug swept under your feet, pulled out from under your feet, so to speak. And we were, forced to go ahead and close. So that, I think, was the biggest challenge for me that we saw. And it was one of those that was so unexpected. So to go full circle as far as the planning portion of it, that wasn't something you could really plan for. But now in that process, the good, bad, and ugly is being part of a franchise. We had an amazing CEO who sat back and said, let's look at a 13-week forecast. Traditionally, my dad always said, have a rainy day slush fund, have, a month or two ready to roll. And I had a little bit of funds ready, and I could have made it 8.5 weeks is what we discovered. And then Corey did this whole scenario of, you need to have 13 weeks. This could last long. It could even last longer than that. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding. I'm not going to last 13.5 weeks. What am I going to do? And so even sometimes the best laid plans can still be pulled out. And that's where we need to really learn to strategize. Making lemons out of lemonade, or making lemonades out of lemons, forgive me, to go to that analogy as well, but really twisting things in a different way and being open to change, which is hard at my age, I'll be honest. John and I went to high school together. I was the cool kid who had an electric typewriter when I went to college. So having this thing called technology where I use videos and what have you was new to me, but it was really a way that I was able to reach out to my customers. And for those of you who know, it's become quite an amazing thing, our Wine Wednesday and all the things that we've been able to do through marketing and not only marketing ourselves, but marketing our community and really letting people know that when you come to Menomonie and you come to visit Diana's store, I just had some ladies, like I said, from Eau Claire. I try to tell them, hey, while you're here, go visit these other stores, go eat and dine at these little restaurants, or this little gem is here in our town. Maybe you don't know about it. And I think to me, that's really been something that has really helped me to thrive.
Alrighty. I obviously agree with Diana there on the COVID situation. That was stressful and very surprising, obviously, but we just took it day by day, and, we obviously had to shut down as well, but we found ways to make it work for us. That's when we rebranded. We changed our name. We shut down, repainted, tore the walls apart, rebuilt our kitchen. Like, yes, financially we were hurting. We still weren't making a profit, and we were already, you know, in how many years of, you know, putting money in and not seeing any back. But you have to, you know, take that time that was forced upon you and try and make a go of it, because we weren't ready to let our brand go yet. We wanted to give it another try and see if we could, you know, make it turn around. And that's, COVID was the blessing and the curse really for us, but it has turned out to work for us. So that's exciting. But, you know, as far as surprises go, I had very little experience as far as the restaurant industry. I had worked a few, you know, jobs as a waitress, as a bartender, but I had never run a restaurant before. So anything that came my way wasn't necessarily a surprise. It was just like, oh, okay, this happened today. So what are we going to do about it? How are we going to not stress out? How are we going to just take a deep breath, trust, have faith that we're going to work it out, have confidence in ourselves, and, you know, keep evolving, keep growing, making that, you know, one simple improvement per day means you've made a positive step in the right direction. So that's what we've done over the years. Obviously, we've had situations where staff have left us unexpectedly, or a person that was said had they made a commitment to us, said they were going to be that supportive person, you know, decided, oh, that isn't for me anymore, and we are left in the lurch. But we just showed up, we did what we could, and the rest had to wait. So I guess I didn't have any huge surprises other than obviously COVID, but yeah, that's our story.
So Angela, obviously the kiddos for Lemonade Day are working off of a plan and such. How do you prepare them for situations when the plan may go awry? And I think of, it's a lemonade stand and many of them are outside. So what do you do when it rains, or, you know, what happens if the lemonade ratio isn't correct? So how do you kind of handle those unexpected or surprise moments with that event?
Yeah, so last year's a perfect example of that. It was not a great day. Like normally we have a plan where we have it set for the first Thursday of the month. If it's a rain day, we move it back to the next day, which is the next Friday. This last Thursday, we decided to roll with it. The rain chances were spotty. It rained most of the day, but the kids, they didn't give up. They loved it. They were dancing in the rain. They were holding their signs up. They were just having the best time ever. And, you know, while we probably didn't get as much traffic at the locations as we wanted to because of that, the kids never wavered in their excitement and their fun for the event. And as far as the ratios go, we kind of take care of all of that ahead of time. So most of the times we don't have to deal with that. But one of the other things that comes up is that, you know, we sell the lemonade for 50 cents and somebody might come up and give the kids $1, and you know, they want to give them their cup of lemonade and give them 50 cents back. But then, you know, the person's like, no, you can keep that. And they're like, well, wait a second. We set the price for 50 cents. We know we have to give you back change. And so for them to sit and think that people are just giving donations to them, we really have to talk about that with them ahead of time, because it's hard for them to process. Like, right, we're selling you a product and you're giving me more money than what we're asking for. And so the CEO and myself last year, we had tried to make it to every lemonade site location throughout all of the different communities. And after my third site visit in Menomonie, actually, I was like, I cannot have another glass of lemonade, but I'm trying to be really nice and really respectful of it. So I was just giving donations, and they're like, well, you can't just give me money and not get lemonade, you know. So then I'd be like, can you pour me a little bit, like just a touch of lemonade? And they're like, no, that's not what we're supposed to do. So I mean, it's just really cute how they have a plan in place. They're younger. That's what it should be. That's what they're trying to do. But you know, for them, going with the flow and doing it. But as far as weather, rain concern, not a problem. They're singing, dancing, holding up their signs, living their best life. So
meanwhile, Diana and Stephanie are up here saying, I wish people would just stop in and give us money and not want
right?
product or give us too much and just walk away, right?
I was going to pick on Angela that she didn't do that yesterday when she was shopping here. Shame on you, young lady. Actually, it was the day before. And I won't name names, but I have a WESTconsin credit union employee here right now shopping. So my apologies. It's kind of comical because she's watching, listening to all this along the way. And she's like, this is so amazing. But, you know, so it's kind of fun how everything does come full circle. And I think that's the great thing about a small community. And it's one of those scenarios. So my, I didn't mean to interrupt and take this away, sorry, but I just had to share. One of the things that also came out of COVID for us, so kind of like what Stephanie's saying, the good, bad, and ugly, you know, we learned, we changed, we evolved. If anybody ever wants to read a cute little book, it's called Who Moved My Cheese? Mm-hmm. And it's a story about mice and those that survive and those that don't. You know, if you're always going to the same spot and you're expecting your cheese to be there every day, and then your cheese gets moved, you're going to die. You have to find that cheese. You got to, you know, search things out. And it's just the cutest little story. But anyway, one of the things that we started doing was a daily video Zoom amongst all of us as owners to try to, you know, help each other, encourage each other along the way. What are we doing? How are we doing videos? Hey, this worked for me. How can we turn goods, whatever it may be, all the way down to which vendors were kind enough to go ahead and hold goods for us because we didn't know when we were going to open. And you have to understand, we order things. I'm ordering spring already for next year. My fall's been bought. I've already planned out over $80,000 worth of purchases for fall that are coming in. I can't change that. I've made a promise to that vendor. They're making those goods for me. And on the front end, I promised them when it's ready, you ship it and I will pay you for it. I can't change that. But you know, the nice thing was our CEO did step in and say, you know what, these things are uncontrollable. Will you at least hold goods for them? Or will you give them a net 60 or whatever? Because normally we don't have that. When you walk into my store, I own all these things, which is a little bit scary. So one of the things that we started doing were these videos to kind of help each other along the way. And similar to this, and once again, the good, bad, and ugly. We've never met like this before for the chamber. I think this is fantastic. And now we can reach out to community members. We have other individuals here that we all partner with. And I think our small town is that community. And that's one of the things that I love, not only about WESTconsin Credit Union, and many of you know, I'm also on the board for Boys and Girls Club. So it's really fun for me to be a part of this call because it all intertwines. And I think that's the amazing thing about community. So I just wanted to share that as well.
Well, I'm going to chime in that I think it's really important, like what Diana said, is you got to have that kind of networks. I know in past situations, whether it's with family or my own personal experience, you get doing your own little thing in your own little business and you forget to look up, and you really do need that, first of all, that emotional support some days, whether it's people in your own industry or fellow businesses that might not be competing with you in your own town, but to get ideas, because there's a big world out there. There's lots of great solutions, but sometimes they're so busy sawing down the tree, so to speak, we don't go out and find new ways to sharpen the saw. So I think that's really important. And back to the lemonade, as old as I am, I didn't really realize how important those simple experiences like Lemonade Day, things in 4-H, Boy Scouts, all build. And it's no different when you're a business owner. You're always building skills, building knowledge, and it's no difference. You just got to keep at it. So.
Well, and John, that's a great segue to my next question, is talking about those support systems. So, and John and Angela, I'd like you to put on your hats of working at WESTconsin Credit Union as well as working at the Boys and Girls Club. And Stephanie and Diana, you'll be able to talk a little bit more of the personal business owner experience of this, but what or who have provided you with support services? And this could be pre-COVID, post-COVID, just any of those services. Where did you find value in support?
Yeah, so for me, working with WESTconsin, John Grape actually was our loan officer. Pretty exciting. He would constantly be sending me emails of ideas and, resources. That was super helpful. No one else really did that for us, which is, kind of amazing that you were on that all the time. And also our accountant, she was like, hey, you qualified for this grant. Do you want me to send that in for you? And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. She's like, okay, cool. Well, $5,000 is in your account now. And I was like, what? That was wonderful. And so, yeah, people like that are what really made the difference during COVID times, because it was hard. There would be no one here, sporadic customers, getting to go food, and, you don't know when that was going to change. So having those kind of messages sent were really helpful. but given we're not fully connected with anyone else, I guess those are the two things that really stood out to me. So
I think the biggest thing for me, as I shared, really was my franchise. For those of you who know my full story, I was hesitant at first. You know, do I want to do this franchise thing? Do I not? Hey, I've done clothing before. I can do this again. You know, back and forth weighing it out. A franchise does cost money, so I had an initial startup cost with them, and they also get 8% of my sales every week. So I sell $10,000, they're getting a chunk of it, you know, whatever it may be. So sometimes it's a tough one to stomach. In many cases, I write them a much bigger check than I write to myself or for rent or any of those kinds of things. So that's where I had to look at, was it a value? And I think the support system that I had from my franchise was incredible, along with the fact, like I said, they act on our behalf sometimes too, because of the large buying power. We're up to 84 stores now in 20 states. So we come with large buying power. So they've acted on our behalf in many cases. And we have some vendors that give us discounts. So if I get a 10% discount from a certain vendor, and then I'm giving them 8%, that's kind of nice. It helps balance out. So for me, my franchise was an amazing support. Same as, I mean, it was a huge, huge support system for me as well, which I loved to have my accountant as well. I got that same $5,000 grant, which was amazing. That was 2 months of rent and about a month's worth of electricity. I'm like, yes. You know, when you're shut down and you're still paying rent on something that you don't get to enjoy, I'm like, this is horrible. You know, I would turn down the air, turn down, you know, I mean, I froze to death some days in here. I stayed in my winter coat because it was, you know, March, February, you know, March and April, most of the months, and part of May got a little bit warmer. And Stephanie's laughing, but it's true. You probably did the same thing. You turned on an oven to stay warm, you know? You know, I mean, I just, yeah, a vagabond life. But I have to go ahead and give huge props to Ashley. I know, Ashley, you came in at a horrible time. It was probably the most disgusting time that you could have ever possibly started a new position as a CEO. Thank goodness you came with so much experience and background as well, that you drew from that and made a huge difference in the lives of so many of us. I don't say that lightly. I don't say it to, you know, to go ahead and give kudos back to me. It's totally you and your team. The resourcefulness that you dug in and kept fighting for all of us in the chamber, I think is amazing. Along with the fact that it wasn't just chamber investors and members that you fought for, it was all businesses and all people here in our community. So I want to give a huge shout out to you. I'm also going to give a shout out to, as I see, I have customers that come and volunteer here because they know that I'm on a conference call today and do their best at a computer to try to help me. I found out that I have the most amazing support system in my customers. I mean, I knew my family was going to, you know, your mom has to support you. But I was just amazed at the support system that I have from my customers and the following that we have. They really are our tribe. And I know, Stephanie, you see the same thing. It's one of those scenarios. I mean, they back you up hands down. I know Grandma Mary's friends are in there. I mean, you have such a group and a tribe that love you and will support you thick and thin. I got a feeling they probably would help you do dishes if you needed them to. So it's that kind of thing that makes a world of difference. So once again, Ashley, kudos to you and your entire team. We also love the Menomonie community. It has been very, very, very supportive to all of us. So thank you.
I'll jump in next. I think one of the hardest things when you're a small business owner is to take accounting of your own, not only your own skills, but your own interests, because there's so many hats you got to wear. And one of the things once you decide that, for example, I can think of a couple of people I work with. They're not numbers people. They're not, so they farm it out, so to speak. They find a good accountant. They listen to their accountant. And here's the hard part. You get the numbers and everything to the accountant on time so they can actually do their job. Those things like that. Another example would be is marketing. It seems like nobody wants to do marketing, but I think because we get into a small business because we have a skill or a passion for whatever that is, marketing tends not to be on the radar very often. But there's very few businesses that marketing, if it ain't number one, it should be number two. And I have a couple of members that, yeah, they went out, they didn't want to market, but they found some people to help them with social media. And yep, they had to pay some money. You have to evaluate the value you're getting back. But again, you have to try different things. But sometimes you have to hire some experts because you can't be an expert in everything. So I think that's really important, being open-minded and, again, talking to your network of professionals or other business owners to get those ideas so you can move forward.
All right, I will jump in next. So just quickly, prior to working for the Boys and Girls Club, I spent 10 years of my life working for Coca-Cola. So that was a huge switch for me to go from working for a for-profit company with not a lot of support to coming to the Boys and Girls Club and working for a nonprofit. And I can hands down tell you all that Ann Kaiser, our CEO, I'm sure much of you know her, has been the most supportive person and the most encouraging for not only myself, but our whole entire team. And our 10-person admin team is the best team that I've ever worked for. They're supportive of everything and everyone and all the decisions that we make. I'm not afraid to ask questions there, not afraid to ask for help. And then we also have an amazing board of directors. Diana, I have leaned on her so much for different things throughout my short time with the Boys and Girls Club, and she's always been very willing to help and amazing in just providing feedback or constructive criticism if it's needed. So the support that we have just from our immediate team and from the center directors and the clubs and everything else, it is hands down the best company that I've ever worked for, the best nonprofit I've ever worked for. And the support system from everyone that's involved with it is absolutely amazing. So it's really refreshing to come and work for a place where you feel appreciated and you know that you don't have to worry about, I don't want to say getting in trouble, because there's not really anything I do to get in trouble per se, but it's just like that different perspective of you're not afraid to say if you need help, or if you made a mistake, you need to reach out to somebody. So it's our support system definitely starts from the top and works its way down. So it's been really great.
Well, and I know, obviously I've been in nonprofit for quite some time now. I won't age myself by explaining the years, but I'm seasoned. But I know one of the things that we've talked about in previous Entrepreneurs in Action are small business owners. And this really falls in, John and Angela, I'm sure that you can resonate with this as well, is how do you alleviate burnout, right? We can all get to that stage many times when you're an owner and operator, you're working in a nonprofit that's mission-based. You are running yourself both ends of the night, right? You are burning that flame. What are some tactics that you would have for our listeners and our playback watchers on taking care of yourself and really trying to avoid that burnout at all costs?
I can jump in first with that. So this year is a perfect example of that for me. We had several events that happened at the beginning of the year. We launched our new capital campaign throughout 4 different communities within our area. And we had our Youth of the Year, which is a large event that we have, and then Voice of the Future, which is another large event, which happened back to back. So from probably, I will say November until May, it was nonstop for me, and it was constant. And I'm the kind of person that when I know it's something that I'm in charge of, I feel like I need to be the one that takes care of everything. I know that I can ask for help, but I always want to be the one that's in charge. I'm very much a person that needs to be in control, but I had to really step back and say, okay, I cannot do all of this by myself. I need to be able to ask for help. And that's the one thing about the culture at the Boys and Girls Club and with working with the other nonprofits is that it's okay to ask for help. And that's what you have to do to be successful and to avoid that burnout. Because once you get to that burnout phase, you are not as productive as you could be. You're not as on top of things as you should be, because you start forgetting things because you have so much on your plate. So the biggest thing for me was just learning that I can ask for help and it's okay to ask for help, and that I do have the support of everyone else that I work with who wants to help. So it's just been, for me, the biggest thing was letting go of my control issues with trying to do everything myself and just opening that up for others to help out.
I'm trying to unmute. I'm going to piggyback on that, because not only am I smiling at Angela because I tried to take a few of those things off of her plate, but I am her. That is why we get along so well. We're both control freaks. It's one of those scenarios for myself. I think for those of you who know, we have a lot of college girls who come and work here because of the fact that we have that retail program with Stout. So in my 6 years here in the store, I can't even tell you, I should probably do a quick count. I know it's more than 20 young ladies that I've had that have either been part of the retail and design group, and now it's all one, majors here in town. And it's been an absolute joy to have all of them. And I try to look at it as, can I be their mentor? Can, I learn something from them because they're taking these amazing classes that wasn't my focus in school, and learn from them. But at the same token, can I teach them some life skills and some things along the way that will help them to grow and be things that they can lean on in the future? And it's one of those scenarios where I need to really be able to, and that's hard, I'll be honest. I mean, I have a multifaceted job. And for me to walk away, which for those of you who know, I just left for 6 days and went to Oklahoma for Chad's auntie's birthday. And Denise was amazing and ran the store. And for me to step away, I mean, we did it to Alaska 5 years ago, and I had 2 young ladies who did anything and everything. And you know what? It didn't burn down. Any little thing that happened along the way was easily fixable. Clients are super understanding. And, they want to see us succeed as business owners. They also want to see us have a balance of life. And when I made the decision 3 years ago to not be open on Sundays any longer, it was a really hard decision for me to make. But yet at the same token, people understood why. So I could spend time with Chad. I could spend time with mom. I could spend time with my family. I could rejuvenate and regenerate myself. And I have a girlfriend who keeps telling me, keep those boundaries up, Diana. You need that. You need that healthiness. I know, Stephanie, you have little ones. Taking that time with your husband and your kids, having that balance along the way is really, really important. And one of the things that I've learned to do is use my social media with it. People, I mean, I got so many likes to this crazy post that I did of me with the car door open in my Lulu Bee getting gas at a BP in Iowa. I mean, people want to see you on that journey in life. And that I had a lady who recognized me wearing Lulu Bee at a gas station. I thought that was awesome. But it's one of those scenarios. I mean, your ladies, once again, for me, it's ladies, but your customers will be there for you. Your supporters in your, John, what are we called? Members at Wisconsin Credit Union. It's just incredible how they'll come alongside you, and they will really be your support system and help you find that balance of life as well. So to Angela's point, don't be scared to ask for a little help along the way. It's okay to step back and, and kind of refocus on what's really important to you and what your priorities are.
I'll just piggyback on that real quick that, whether it's a small business or even a larger business, it's so obvious after you've been there a while going, why are we doing all these things, all these steps? And when you start out on a small business, you start doing things just to get them done maybe. But in life, I think is a true statement that, really, 80% of what needs to be done can get done in 20% of the actions. It's the rest of the stuff that gets filled in there. And along Diana was saying about being closed one day, I have lots of businesses that get really concerned about being closed one day out of the week when it's a industry that is expected to be open every day. Not every day is your best day of the week, and you have to make those decisions, and that's okay. You have to decide where the 20% of the effort is going to get you 80% of the results. And, it is what it is after that, and continue to think about it and change and try new things, and it'll work out.
Yeah, I'll just touch on that as well. Burnout is something I still struggle with. It's hard in our industry because of the staffing. When I have staff, my life is just perfectly, balanced because I have 3 littles and a husband and 2 businesses. And it's generally me running around like a crazy person, like checking all the dots, making sure they all connect. But then when one person doesn't show up, or 2 people quit, or people go back to college for the year, it's, back into crazy me working in the business, not on the business. My husband then has to cover all the things for the coffee roasting business and the kids. Thankfully, I have such a support in him that I'm able to make it happen. But what I did to make my life so much easier is over the years, I've, come across these good employees, ones that are there, ones that have passion, that are interested in what we're doing. And as of May 1st, 2 of them are now my business partners at the cafe, and we're able to share the load because otherwise I don't think I could do it. Not with wanting to be so present in my children's lives. If I didn't, have goals to be, the best mom ever, I could probably be at the cafe 24/7. It wouldn't be a problem. Everything would get covered. But because I can't be here all the time, I needed that support system. And I get that now with my business partners. They're able to, fill in the cracks. So if I'm feeling like my kids haven't seen me enough today, I can just go. I can be there for them and they will make sure, everything's covered. So vice versa. If the cafe is needing more of me, Christian's then able to cover the kids. So it's been nice that we both can be, all flexible. So everything gets covered. So that has helped significantly, but I still, those low staff days are hard. So we're still, working on that. I need to fix for that, guys.
Stephanie, I don't think you're the only person alone in that. Before the call started, we were talking about how unusual the environment is right now for employees. So it's definitely something that we're all feeling. So we have about 10 minutes left. For those who are in our chat here, for participants, feel free to drop those questions in chat. Otherwise, you can also click the reaction button and raise your hand, and we'll go ahead and get some questions answered that way as well for one-on-one engagement. So we'll go ahead and start here. We did have a question in the chat. Stephanie, when you say business partners, is it an investment on their part, or just how do you have it set up on a management team?
So yeah, they became a part of our team as employees, one as the kitchen manager, one as the bakery manager, about two and a half years ago. And I knew that I wanted to, purchase the cafe from my parents because they owned it, but they were never active participants. I was, the person in the day-to-day creating and, starting it from scratch. They wanted to be there more in the beginning, but, had other goals and pursuits. So they managed that. And I was left with the cafe, which was a blessing, but also I couldn't do it myself. So because these two people, Mariah and Tila, they both went to culinary school and that was their passion. That was their future goal, was to own a cafe or a bakery together. And I'm like, why should you leave? You should just stay here. Let's, buy this together. So the three of us equally own, yes, we both invested the same amount to buy the cafe and we equally, work to run the business itself. So I hope that answered that question.
No, that definitely helped. And we had another comment here in the more of a comment than a question, but Susan Peterson is with us with JA. Hi, Susan. Susan also sits on our Workforce and Education Committee. So I'm glad to have you here. A comment, again, kind of about that support system and getting involved in your community. And JA is always looking for volunteers. And one of the ways that you can share your story as an entrepreneur and really build that excitement with youth is to volunteer through JA. So Susan, I definitely do appreciate you putting that. Her contact information is in the comments there. It's a program that we highly endorse and that it's great to be involved with as well. So thank you for that, Susan. So any other questions, feel free to go ahead and turn your camera off or unmute yourself. We can take those verbal questions as well.
So while we're waiting, I'll just throw out a comment or two here. Again, kind of going back to that networking or really educating yourself. For those, whether you have a small business or a larger business, a really good resource for training that's usually web, quite often is free, is the Small Business Administration. So you go to, I think it's sba.gov and navigate their website. There's lots of great training across the large spectrum of things, all the way from accounting to marketing to anything under the sun. So that's a nice resource for people that either don't have the time or budget to go somewhere to learn a few things. So
thank you for that, John.
I'm going to add a fun little comment in. I got to give a shout out to Wisconsin Credit Union because I know Stephanie, you remember as well. And a shout out to Scatterbrain Cafe. For those of you who don't know, Josie Seiler, who's a local artist here, she's a photographer, a writer, what have you. She recently wrote a wonderful children's book, How He's Broken Hee Haw. And I know we've been all featuring her along the way. She's a very regular, frequent visitor, let's say, to both of our establishments, which is wonderful. Actually, Lori, will you bring me that magazine? It's up underneath our Wisconsin magazine recently, Stephanie and Scatterbrain Cafe was featured in that. And my beautiful mother was as well. My mom, Miss Harriet, did a little cooking with us along the way when we were doing videos and things. We tried to be our own little food network along the way, but we keep that here in store, and we give a shout out to everyone as far as Scatterbrain, and to let everybody know to sneak down there because it is so amazing. And oops, I just wanted to go ahead and give a shout out as far as Josie was concerned as well. When we talk about entrepreneurs, and for those people who are really supportive of each other, I think that's just so incredible in our small community. So if you didn't get our Wisconsin magazine, here's that amazing article. And shout out to Wisconsin Credit Union. For those of you who didn't know, both myself and Stephanie have been chosen to be their next member stories. So she filmed on a Thursday a couple of weeks ago. We filmed on a Friday. Thanks for breaking in the crew, because I think they needed a little practice before they hit our store. We were a little scary here, but we had a wonderful time, and we can't tell you too much or say too much along the way. We don't know a lot ourselves. There's a few outtakes, I guess, that are quite comical, but look for that in September. That'll be playing. Now, John, you said how many counties are you part
of? 26.
Okay, we're going to be playing across 26 counties. My understanding is that the member stories play a lot before movies at the movie theater and what have you as well. So I just want to thank Wisconsin Credit Union. I know there were all sorts of criteria, and you guys weren't necessarily the deciding factor. It was more a producer and a director along the way. But I just wanted to go ahead and let everyone know, because I think that is so amazing that we have an establishment here in our community that really does uphold exactly what they say. Community is very important to Wisconsin Credit Union, and that just proves it completely that they chose both of us to be part of those member stories and feature our businesses, which is going to be an amazing blessing for both of us and really, really boosts business for us. So thank you so much for that opportunity.
Definitely. Thank you for going to bat for us and recommending us to the board too. That was really wonderful. So thank you.
You guys have nice businesses. You've come a long ways and got a lot of good experience there under your belt. So
yeah.
So, and I think that really for those of us who are on the call or who are listening to the playback of this, there's really a resonating theme. Every time we have an Entrepreneurs in Action, and that's really about how supportive the community is. The Menomonie area just really is a good support system. And if you ask or request that help, there's always going to be somebody or a business, somebody out there who's going to be willing to help, willing to talk, willing to provide and share those resources. So I think that that's really valuable. We have just a couple minutes left. And what I like to do is we started with our presenters with a quick 60-second introduction. What I'd like to do is go roundtable style with our presenters here for a quick 60-second closing. What I'd like to ask you all to do is provide those who are listening in on this with one piece of valuable advice that you would like them to leave this event with. John, let's go ahead and start with you.
Valuable advice. Whether you're a startup business or whether you have been in business for 2-3 years, or even you're planning to make some changes, whether that's trying to be more efficient or growing, don't be afraid to do some planning. Yes, you need to take things at a reasonable pace so you actually do move forward. But I see a lot of people that just have a thought, and a week later they want to start building, they want to start hiring people, and taking the time to talk to your staff, whether it's accountants, and whoever those resources are, to really get a good idea of the potential and the challenges you need to face, so you can have a plan to at least at the beginning move forward. And then and the other big thing is, as everybody here knows, you just got to be very good at open-mindedness and always looking for how we can change and be better, because that's the environment we're in. If that hasn't taught us anything the last 2 years, I don't know when it's going to teach us that. So thank you.
Thanks for joining us today, John. Much appreciated. Angela, how about you?
All right. My advice to all of you is to not settle. Explore your options. Take chances on things that you might not think you'd have a chance at. I have a bachelor's degree in hospitality and tourism. I spent some time in that field, went to sales at Coke, moved up with the company with management, and I still didn't feel like I was living up to my full potential. So I took a chance on applying for a job where I didn't have any experience in, but I kept an open mind and I believed in myself and I was really positive about it. And I absolutely love it. So just my biggest thing is don't settle. I mean, there's so many opportunities for everyone to do. And I'm very thankful that I did not just stick with something that I thought was going to be my forever job. And I took a chance and found something that I absolutely love.
Great advice. Stephanie?
Yeah, I have a few kind of tips. One would be having that patience. A successful business doesn't just, oh, pop, you're awesome. You have all these sales, like you doubled that year. No, it takes day to day, month to month, year to year. Every day you did something that put you, closer to your end goal, because after you've done that, you'll realize, oh, I should do this now. It just every day something changes where you're like, this will make us better. Let's make one step towards that goal. Another thing is when it's not working, change it. You may not be able to do it that day, but make an effort the following week to change whatever isn't working for you. Also being consistent. If it won't pay off unless you are there day to day, that includes like running a special. If you're going to say, hey, I want to do this, you have to advertise it every single week. And if you are providing that quality thing every single week and posting about it, people will come. We now like our Waffle Thursday, there's a following for that now, but that's because every week we're posting, consistently about that. Same with your hours, recipe, the quality of your ingredients. You can't go changing that. You have to consistently be providing the same or better product to your customer. Also know your worth, because you are providing that good product. It costs more to make it. So you have to, yes, charge the dollar more. You will then have to educate your customer on why, maybe because they may say, hey, well, I can get a burger across the street. Well, ours didn't come off a food truck. We provided this scratch made for you and it took extra time to do so. So yeah, know your worth. It's important. And same with staff, have patience for them, because they are one of the most important things for you being around. So you have to, like, I consider all my staff like my adult children. So when my kids make me mad, I don't spank them. I talk to them. I give them hugs. I love them through it. So that's what I try to do with my employees here too. And yeah, that's all I have.
Stephanie, I love the phrase, know your worth and then add tax. And I think that that's such a valuable piece to put out there, is just recognizing the value in yourself. So I definitely appreciate that. Diana, we'll go ahead and close with you.
Oh, that's scary. Once again, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. And thank you to all of you who are watching, either live or shortly thereafter. So we are just really, once again, happy to be a part of this community. And I think the biggest thing, and Ashley knows I have this sign, Chad gave it to me, when you feel like giving up, remember why you started. And I think that's the biggest thing. All of us have a dream. In many cases, we maybe haven't reached our full potential. I don't know that we ever will. I don't know. I don't think we can ever reach the full potential of what God has planned for us. But I know each day getting up, trying our darndest to do so. Stephanie said it really, really well as far as knowing your worth. I think that's so fantastic. We're all valuable individuals and we can't second guess ourselves. Angela said the same thing, believe in yourself, just be positive about it, trudge forward. And as John said, surround yourself with an amazing community. And Ashley, you and your team have done that. So thank you so much for allowing us once again this opportunity. And thank you for allowing me to be part of this Menomonie community and Downsville. It really is an enjoyable, loving community. And it's just a great place to call home. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Diana, for the kind words, for all of you for presenting and being here with us today. Thank you for our attendees. Again, thank you to our business professional sponsor, Xcel Energy, for helping us make these possible. We do host these quarterly, so be sure to check in on that next one. You will see information about the Boys and Girls Club's Lemonade Day, which is coming up, I believe, on August 4th, Angela. At various places throughout Menomonie. You'll be able to check out their website to get that information, but we do encourage you you continue being involved with the chamber. Reach out to us if you have questions about resources or that support system, and we're happy to put you in touch with different people as well. So thank you again for joining us today. We definitely appreciate it, and have a good one.
Thank you.